Run it, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready.
All right, folks, welcome back to another edition of Hoojie Boy Trades. Big day tomorrow, maybe today if you're watching this on Wednesday. We got the big FOMC. We get the numbers at 2 p.m. looking at 0.75. That's pretty much locked in. But the speech at 2:30 from Mr. Jerome Powell is going to be the big catalyst. The algos will be following every single word of that speech, and you know how the reaction goes before, during, and after these speeches. So we're going to be looking, what levels we're going to be looking at. Let's talk about it. So the overnight session last night never gave up 38.80 on ES. And then it proceeded to grind back up to that previous 39.25 pivot zone. When the market opened, we needed buyers to step in immediately with the structure being a weak grind like that. And I was even fooled expecting buyers to step in since we opened above 39.05. And even if we retested that 39.05 area first, which is where I got long and got burned, that's what we wanted to see. We ended up getting a quick inventory correction, filling the overnight gap almost immediately where buyers failed to outbid the bears again. I was one of those bulls, got fooled, got out quick, and then we looked for that retest of 38.80 to get back in shorts and make that money back real quick. So I'll be watching 38.30 to 38.45 tomorrow for dip buys in the FOMC, and then after the speech begins at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, I will observe the tape to see what the order flow looks like before attempting to initiate on that reaction. It tends to make a large move either direction and then reverse violently after these FOMC events, so we'll be cautiously optimistic, being long going in if we get another good entry. And I mean, obviously, these entries are so important because this thing moves fast. And a lot of times, if you get in on the wrong side of it, you go down, and even though a lot of times it might recover, you're going to get stopped out quick just because it's going to be so violent. Even, like the last time, we sold off so fast and hard that if you were in options, they went down 50, 60% almost immediately. And then those call options actually recovered and ended up doing 100, 150% to the, profit. But who's going to sit through that, when in a day trade? Almost nobody's going to sit through being 50, 60% down, so they're cutting those immediately and getting fooled. And that's what we don't want as a trader. So like I said, I'll be watching at 38.30 to 38.45 tomorrow. That's where I'm looking to get long if I can catch a day trade off that area. But we'll see where we open up. We'll see how the overnight structure looks again. But those are some levels I got eyes on. And then it tends to make a large move either direction. I already talked about that. So let's go to the second attempt at 38.80, which is where I got short today. That was also a great opportunity. The continuation liquidation when we failed to get back over 38.80 was key. And that was an excellent entry if you were able to catch that one. We're back to the middle of the 6-day balance at close. Bulls want to gain acceptance over that 39.25 level now to remain in control for a rally into end of year. If we lose 38.10, then we could expect further downside, in my opinion. I still have gaps I'm looking to reach on the upside at 41.05 and 42.21 into end of year. If you've been watching my previous videos, those have been and will continue to be my targets unless we completely reverse and start to head back towards lows. And then I'll reconsider my thesis. 38.10 to 39.25 is our balance zone now. That's that 6-day balance I was just talking about. I'll be looking to catch a run to 40.10 in the near term if they give us another good entry point. But also I have longs from 35.20 to 36.00 that I'll be looking to hold unless we get a really negative reaction tomorrow. And as far as SPY levels, these can be played here as well. And I'll go over them a little bit here. So this 386 to 389. 389 is kind of that key spot. You can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 touch points since May. So that 389 is massive on SPY. And at 386 to 389, that whole area is very important. So we want to see that hold up. We want to see it regain those levels tomorrow. We ended up closing down around 383, I believe it was on SPY. Let's take a look at that real quick here. I believe that's where we closed at, though. Yeah, we ended up getting back over 383. We had the AMD earnings that were actually disappointing, but AMD ended up actually catching a bid after it sold off, so it ended up going back to 64 before, closing after hour session at 62. So that one's going to be interesting tomorrow. And Airbnb actually annihilated their earnings, and they still sold off. I definitely got my eyes on Airbnb. I bought some under 100 just equity today when we got that initial reaction because, look, their earnings beat was like the best ever. The guidance was an issue. So the guidance was a little bit of an issue, but it's going into the winter quarter where Airbnb is obviously going to be slower every year, but they are actually reporting records, during a bad economy. We're in a bad economic situation, and Airbnb is doing record profits. So looking at the quarter, they posted revenue of $2.9 billion, up 29% from a year ago, or 36% adjusted for currency, and slightly above both the company's guidance range of $2.78 billion to $2.88 billion and Wall Street consensus forecast at $2.84 billion. Profits were $1.79 a share, above consensus at $1.47. Top and bottom line beat. Gross booking value was $15.6 billion, up 29% or 36% adjusted for currency, as the company had forecast. That figure accelerated from the June quarter growth rate of 27% or 34% adjusted for currency. Nights and experiences booked were 99.7 million, up 25% and in line with the second quarter level. Adjusted EBITDA, or earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, was $1.5 billion, up 32% or 44% adjusted for currency, and a record. Adjusted EBITDA margin was 51%, up from 49% a year ago. Airbnb had forecast that the figure would be flat to down from 1 year ago. So obviously, just a great quarter. Great quarter. And that's why they're one of these companies that obviously their growth and they're getting smoked because of their outlook for next quarter. But it's obviously a seasonal quarter that they could also end up beating again. So I'll be paying attention to their next earnings as well. But I'm picking up shares under 100 and will continue to do so. Not financial advice, just my personal preference on this stock. For the fourth quarter, they do see revenue of 1.8 to 1.88 billion. The company sees growth of between 23% and 29%. At the midpoint of the range, the forecast is a smidgen below the consensus of 1.85 billion. So 1.85 billion is the consensus for next quarter. We'll see if they can beat that again. And then we're going to see it run if they do. Because if they can beat it in a bad seasonal quarter, then, Airbnb is going to be definitely back in favor. And, that's part of the reason, like I said, they deserve to be traded at this multiple as a growth company that's absolutely annihilating their earnings in a bad economy. But everything is based on the future right now. That's how the stock market looks at things. So if they're looking at a slightly lower quarter, they're going to sell it off. That's just the way it is with these growth companies right now. So regardless of continued macro uncertainties, we believe we're well positioned for the road ahead, the company said in a letter to shareholders. And it was trading down 5.3% to 103.30, actually. And like I said, it dropped below 100. We picked it up under 100. We actually took some trims at 107 on the little push back up, and I'm still going to hold it. I take that 103.30 and just hang on to it for a little bit. So we'll see where she goes from here. But I think it's a great investment under 100 in my opinion. Remember, do your own due diligence on this stuff. But I like the stock. All right, and another stock I want to talk about going in tomorrow is Tesla, because this was such a beautiful setup the last week or so. I mean, it was perfect. It was perfect. And we actually swung this, and we actually got some nice trims off this morning at open when we opened up, around 236, 237 area. It played out beautifully, although it did reject up there and come back down with the market. I think Tesla is going to be definitely in favor the rest of this year. I think she can get back to 300 by January, but we'll see how it plays out, see what kind of news catalyst we get in the coming days, see how the election goes. But I mean, it was just clear. It was accepting over previous resistance. That's what made me get in some shorter term longs, because I do have the January calls, but I actually swung some shorter term stuff too, and along with some other members in the Discord group, we all was looking at Tesla yesterday because it was just too good to pass on. We seen this excess low that it definitely didn't like trading down there under 200. Got bought up immediately, and it's been pretty much up since. And we got this acceptance up here, And then we had the breakout today that ended up getting rejected with the market. Obviously, the news, the data that came out kind of killed everything. But, I still like it because it closed over 227 today. So we'll see how tomorrow plays out. But I'm definitely long Tesla, and I'm going to continue to buy it. If they want to give us 200 or lower again, I'll be more than happy to pay that for Tesla. And I think most people will. But yeah, you can see the 2 daily closes over the prior resistance, made it just a perfect swing trade. This is the kind of structure I'm looking for when I'm looking to get in swing trades. And it was just a beautiful setup. One of the best trades that we had this week. And like I said, I'm still looking to continue to play this one out on some longer term stuff. But we did get some nice trade on the shorter terms. And we'll be looking for another entry to get back in some shorter term stuff if we get the reaction we're looking for tomorrow. Tesla has gotten too cheap. Now that the Twitter drama is over, everyone can start focusing on Tesla again and see that it's still a great company and it's the future. So we also saw some other tech just get annihilated today. Amazon dropped back under $100 today. It had a nightmare of a sell-off back near these lows. Obviously, it made an excess low after earnings down, to 87. Don't know if we'll quite see that again unless we get a really negative reaction to the FOMC. But we're going to be watching this too to see if it can hold up at these lows here around 95.30. If not, then we can definitely revisit these excess lows and retest them, possibly drop below them. But like I said, I'll be looking to buy Amazon under 90. Anytime it's under 90, that's where I bought it on earnings. We actually grave robbed this one too, under 90. Started buying shares around 88. We ended up getting some trims off up here on this nice little run it had, but we'll see what it does off of 96 now. And we saw similar action on Apple. Apple had just had a 10% day, and it sold back down 150 today, but it definitely did not want to hold below 150, so eyes on Apple. We'll pay attention to that one. If it loses that 150 level, we can try and get short again, bring it back down to 140. I don't really like playing short-term options on Apple because you just don't get the movement you need. It's definitely more of a swing trade stock. And as far as equity, it's just a buy and hold stock. Although personally, I don't want to pay over 130 for Apple, especially with all the drama in China. And that was another thing too, is just the other day we had the negative news on China, and then China just gapped up today. Last couple times these charts are so gappy, they're almost uninvestable, but if you can catch some trades on them, they can be pretty nice. FXI had a massive gap up today as well. Let's look at that 30 minute. You can see the gaps on that thing. Yeah, see it gapped up from down here, big gap up after these two massive gap downs. Pretty incredible. Not something I'm looking to trade right now, but it is an idea. We'll see how these play out, because everything is speculative when it comes to China. So I've been kind of staying away from those more lately. But yeah, as far as tech, we'll keep an eye on those. We got energy is still in favor. XOM's been looking good, pushing new all-time highs just over and over again. This 112 area is going to become important now, I believe. And then Oxy also had a really good day. We'll definitely have eyes on that to, get over these highs. We want to see it over this 77. And I think it's well on its way there. So I like that one as well. But excited about tomorrow. Like I said, big news catalyst. Jerome Powell speaking. We'll see how it goes. My dog thinks he's hilarious back there video bombing me, but it's all good. Gave you some good stuff to look at for tomorrow. Be sure to check out those stocks, see how they're performing tomorrow. We got the big meeting, FOMC tomorrow. Jerome Powell at 2:30. Got to keep an eye on the U.S. dollar index, DXY. Got to keep an eye on that VIX. Got to keep an eye on those yields as well. As long as they're elevated, it's going to be hard to keep the sustained rally going. So we got to be watching all three of those right now. The VIX has not been really, working with us. It stayed pretty low today considering, the sell-off. But, that's how it's been lately. You can't get a good read off it, so you got to keep an eye on that US dollar and the yields as well. As always, be sure to check out our Discord on the name of its bull print. There's always a link to our Discord in the description of my videos. Be sure to check us out. Get that free week trial. We got great analysts, great community. We always have a blast in the voice chat during trading hours every day of the week. We have 3 charting sessions per week in the evenings. So like I said, just come and give it that week trial, give it a test drive, see what you want to do, and after that. As always, I appreciate you watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. And until next time, love y'all. Peace.
Run it, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready.